We're getting in deep water on an Odyssey with Chickenhare. I'm Van Connor.
And I'm Adam Ball, and this is Off Screen, your 7-day guide to everything movies.
Boom!
Hello and welcome back to another week of Off Screen then. So we're going to start where we always start, and that is to head straight to the UK and Ireland current top 10. What are you going out to see, or what have you gone out to see over the last week? Okay, well, at number 10, Van, it's Jackass. Is it ass? Ass? Oh, you always get it wrong.
I think it's meant to be says Jackass. Jackass, I think, is the intentional.
Jackass. Yeah. All right, well, that's at number 10. That's been out 4 weeks, 2.2 million. I don't really know much about it, to be fair. Is it just a sort of replaying some of their same old sort of weird stuff?
It's just another round of, Jackass stunts, done for feature film length, like they've been doing for the last 25 years now. It's just, here's a fourth. I think this is the fourth. This is the fourth, and I think, fourth or fifth. And I think this is intended to be the last one. There's a sort of emotional, nostalgic kind of element around it. Actually, I haven't seen it as yet. I don't imagine it'll be much longer before I do. But I'm usually game for a good laugh with these things. I've not really had any friends bring it up or like go nuts about it, but it's making a decently respectable amount of money, and the kind of people who would have been fans of it already seem to still be fans of it.
Okay, well, that's at number 10. At number 9, Disclosure Day. 7 weeks that's been out now, and that's sitting on 12.6 million quid.
That came out digital this week, and I still haven't gotten around to revisiting. I thought, I'll give that another look when it hits digital. I still haven't yet. I've had it for a couple of days. My thing with this one was, you were the one who coined the term Spielberg. Weren't you? Which I think was kind of very apt, because it felt like you were being given the Spielberg spiel as you're watching it, and it's kind of a bit tired and not in any way one of his more interesting. It's certainly not to the creative level of something like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That being said, there are still some good performances in there, particularly Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt, and a Spielberg movie still looks like no one else's movie, and I still root for old Steve. Just this is not in my top half of the best of the works of Steven Spielberg. I think it's quite weak by his standard.
There's a great YouTube video, by the way, Van, I don't know if you've seen it, of Steven Spielberg on a golf buggy being driven around all of the studios, and he's going, I made this film here and I made this film there. It's really good. I literally got sucked right into it. But yeah,
sounds fun. That's a virtual reality experience they should make for people like me. I mean, it'll be a great VR thing to film.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, at number 8 then, we've covered this. Supergirl, that's been out for 4 weeks now, sitting on quite a decent 5.5 million.
Yeah, and that's kind of going to be the end of the ride now, because this is on digital, as far as I know, this week. This is on digital as of this week, I believe. So they've kind of called time on that one. I think it will now go and settle in where it inevitably kind of was destined for, which is to become the kind of sleepover classic. Like it's not quite as good as Guardians of the Galaxy, but I feel like it does have that kind of punchy sleepover rewatchability in a sense. Like it's got enough to pull that off. And to be fair, the film probably would actually have done itself more favours had it lent harder into its own tank girl-like leanings, which is what they go for within this adaptation. But I do love Millie Alcock as Kara, as Supergirl. I think she's great in there. Jason Momoa is fine just playing Jason Momoa, and I got a lot more Crypto. So, a lot more Crypto the Superdog. I'm not going to complain at that.
Who doesn't love Crypto the Superdog, of course?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, that was number 8. Number 7 is Obsession. 10 weeks that's been out now, and that's sitting on over 18.5 million quid that they've taken.
Have you not watched this yet? Have you not seen Obsession yet?
No, I still haven't had time.
My God, man,
no.
you need to watch Obsession. You do. You're missing out on. I keep telling you, this is the pop cultural thing of the year. Like, especially as far as like horror goes, this is, and it's not even like a particularly scary horror. It's like jump scare horror. There's a couple of minor things in there, but it's mostly creepy horror and unsettling horror. But this is like the iconic horror content of 2026. Like, Backrooms does not have any iconography that works anywhere near as well as Freaky Nicky with the blood on her head kind of a thing. So do check it out. I think you'll love it, and I think you'll find it's kind of just a good old fashioned Twilight Zone episode kind of a thing, and you'll enjoy it.
All right, it's on the list for this weekend. I will certainly give it a go.
Are.
All right, number 6, The Invite. 3 weeks that's been out. That's taken nearly £2.5 million in 3 weeks.
I haven't had the chance to see this one as yet. This is the Olivia Wilde, her new directorial effort. I have not had the pleasure as yet. I am really looking forward to this, though.
Number 5 is Evil Dead Burn. 2 weeks that's been out, 1.6 million now.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of this. I was a really big fan of Evil Dead Burn, which goes down the sort of Curse of Chucky kind of route of let's just go and do a stripped down, back to basics, kind of standalone movie set within this continuity, and this time it's about a strange family getting together for a funeral, and all of their trauma sort of seeping to the surface in the world of the Evil Dead and what that would entail. And I thought really, really well done. Some neat performances, some of the inventive ways that things are shot. There's a sequence that's noticeably shot from overhead that that turns a sort of family struggle into something way more interesting than I think it would have been otherwise. I just thought it was a really solid kind of just all-out masterclass exercise in how to make these kinds of films, how to make a good old-fashioned splatter movie, but to do it with the allure and the sort of mystique of quote-unquote elevated horror. You know what I mean?
Nice. Well, that is at number 5. At number 4 then this week, Minions and Monsters is still there. So that's been out for 4 weeks. Nearly £9.5 million that's taken.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's tons of fun. It really is tons of fun. It's a Minion sequel that, because they're better offsetting these things in the past so they can keep them out of the way of the Despicable Me continuity. What they've done with this one is take it to the soaring heights of Hollywood in the 1930s, at the point where they just transition from silent films over to talkies. Like the Minions are silent movie stars and then have to adapt to the era of talkies because they can't talk, can they? They can't really talk properly, so they're kind of out. One of them sets about making his own monster movie, and they start conjuring actual monsters using supernatural powers, and it's really good fun. But for me, I actually mostly love the Hollywood stuff, unsurprisingly, versus the monsters and even the sort of 1950s B-movie sci-fi stuff they shove in there. And there's some really just great history of film stuff in it that really, when I think back on the film, I do get a smile and I do think very fondly back on it. And so I do want to see it again, as it does give me positive feelings when I sort of attempt to recall it.
Well, that's actually one of probably 3 in the top 5 that I think are going to be here for a while because, of course, they're aimed at kids and it's the start of the summer holidays.
Yeah,
so I'd imagine
that.
Minions and Monsters is going to climb and probably be in the top 5 for the next 6 weeks, but we shall see. Another one that might, Moana at number 3. That's been out for 2 weeks so far, already on over £5.5 million.
You know what you're getting with Moana because you've already seen the damn movie. You know what I mean? Like it's a shot-for-shot, line-for-line remake with a couple of weird little exceptions. Do you remember the bit in The Little Mermaid when they're singing Under the Sea and it's they play because Sebastian has the line about they play because they're in a band, and in the animated version you then see the band go by. In the movie you don't. And in this movie, in Moana, there's a bit where he's talking about the animated character on his chest, and his chest isn't animated; it's on the rocks behind him. You're like, so it's just like, what are you just? Why are you making these strange little changes that really only invite more questions? Like, it's weird that you make this one little thing you decide to get inventive on, but the rest of it you'll photocopy and repeat. And the problem is, it's quite a dull-looking movie. Like, Moana's a bright, colourful, vivid movie. This looks kind of grey and sloppy. You know what I mean? It didn't really do the part. I felt kind of bored by it, to be really honest. I felt like I was watching...
I was going to say, do you think this would have worked better the other way around, Van, if they had released the live action as the original Moana and then they did the animated one that would have been more colourful and you would have gone, oh, it's great, it's more bright, it's more bold?
Do you know, maybe, but this movie wouldn't exist that way around. I don't think the success would go that way around because releasing this first, it would never have made the money.
Yeah, true. Good shout. All right, well, at number 2, another one that's going to be in the top 5, I think, for the next few weeks is Toy Story 5, which has been out for 5 weeks. Right, we need a drum roll for this. 5 weeks, Toy Story 5 in the UK and Ireland has now made £45.5 million.
Yes, it has. That is insane, isn't it? And what does that tell you about the brand power of Toy Story? Right? Like, you can keep making these movies forever, so don't think they ever will. They will keep making Toy Story movies forever. As long as they can take like a 5-year gap, and it's usually 5 to 7, I think, years gap before they can make a new one, I think they'll keep making these things forever. Or they'll try and do other things like they did with Lightyear, where they can try and expand the brand elsewhere. But I think this is a pretty good continuation. It's better than the last one, certainly, because it doesn't feel quite as bolted on as the last one did. I like the stuff they do with the tech. I think the Conan O'Brien character of Smarty Pants is a great new addition to the lore. I like the character of the lily pad, the villainous lily pad as well, who's quite an interesting villain as well in a sort of strange way. And it hit me in the feels like I sort of expected it would. So I can see why it's made the money. I think it absolutely deserves to have made that much money, and it will wind up being one of the highest sort of money grossers of this year.
100% that will.
Yeah, definitely.
Number one this week is a film that I know about 10 people that are going to see this weekend. The Odyssey. So that's on £12.5 million.
Well, we will give that a proper review in a little while because it's a thin week, so we'll save that and give it an actual review.
Excellent. Well, that is how the UK and Ireland box office top 10 are looking at the moment. We have got some brand new movies to talk about in a bit. We're going to look at The Odyssey. We're going to look at Deep Water and Chickenhare and The Secret of the Groundhog. They're all on the way. Stay where you are. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. We're going to look at The Odyssey, which every man and his dog seems to be going to see this weekend in a moment. But let's first of all look at a movie that you probably shouldn't watch if you're about to get on a plane and go on holiday. It's called Deep Water and Van has seen it. Over to you, Van.
I mean, I was really looking forward to this because this just looked like one of those films that I just wind up watching for my own trash amusement purposes. Because for one thing, you know my rule, if it's a shark movie, I'll watch it. Okay, that's the rule.
Same.
It's tradition. I'll watch a shark movie. And this one comes from the director of a pretty great shark movie. This comes from Rennie Harlan, who, of course, directed Deep Blue Sea in 1999. This stars Aaron Eckhart and Sir Ben Kingsley. Let's not forget that, Sir Ben Kingsley. They're a pair of airline pilots whose plane suffers an explosion mid-flight due to a faulty power bank in the cargo hold. I'm not even kidding. A power bank detonates in the cargo hold, and this sets off a fire that brings down this plane in the middle of the ocean, where the survivors are then set upon by sharks. That's the movie. Here's a clip. It's Deep Water, baby.
Clara, come on.
Where's my little brother?
Okay, it's gonna be all right.
You know it's not true!
The way I see it, we have one job to do. And that is to get home to see our families. You just gotta hold on.
Please tell me, for the first time ever in a shark movie, the sharks look like real sharks.
No, they really don't. No, and I say this, like I said, bear in mind, this director made Deep Blue Sea, so we know he's shot better looking sharks than this 27 years ago when he had Samuel L. Jackson and weirdly, the Aaron Eckhart looking Tom Jane to do this with. It is more interesting in its first half when they're actually on the plane as opposed to the actual shark half, and the movie seems kind of frivolous about literally every part of itself. To be honest, just about the point where I thought the film was starting to get going, it ended. And as such, there was never this feeling like it's building up to anything. It's just stuff happens in the pursuit of we're at A to B to C to Z. And you never really go along with it. Aaron Eckhart and Ben Kingsley in particular feel like they really are just picking up a check. Like this really does. And you know both these guys are awesome. Like, you've seen them in things that will blow your mind. But this is not one of them. And unfortunately, as far as like trashy shark movies go, it's not even one of the more particularly inventive or fun ones. There are some ropey visual effects. I mean, there's a lot of the green screen environments that they've gone to film this sort of water stuff here. It does work for the most part, but it also just never stops looking like a cheap throwaway movie that for some reason has the name of the director of Die Hard 2 and Deep Blue Sea and Cutthroat Island all all over it, and I can't for the life of me figure that one out. But and you know, like, I was hoping for at the very least give me snakes on a plane or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say with all the kind of technological advances in making movies and a lot of now the green screen and obviously the computer animated stuff, and like, do you think that something like this that is a massive, I'm assuming a massive action type movie with the chasing of the sharks, that actually it just would be better to not do green screen and actually do what Spielberg did with Jaws and actually have an actual shark?
No, get some stunt divers in there with some real sharks, cowards. Yeah. Look, this stuff could be done very well. There's one I really enjoy. My ex-girlfriend and I were big fans of it. And she, every now and again, she'll literally text me and like you'd never guess what I'm watching. I'm watching Shark Night 3D from 2011. I'm like, yes. And we still have this sentimental attachment to this one wacky little shark movie, which was the one with the kids on the teenagers on the sort of remote island. They're on like an island in an island villa, and they're being attacked by sharks around the island. And actually, it's a surprisingly good movie. I really like that one. Surprisingly fun movie. This has nowhere near the charm or likability of that. That's the thing as well. There's no charm in this. There's no likability in this. Everyone is a stock character. Early on in the movie, they start giving them all like individual personality trait storylines where, oh, this character actually fancies that stewardess, and this guy is actually just a bit mean to his wife. And at the end of the movie, they forget to do any payoffs for them. And you're like, okay, I feel like a better version of this would have actually used that to at least set up, like, each one of them then gets a scene in the middle of the movie to reiterate how they are transitioning through that arc, and then at the end you give us their new status quo. Like, that's the basic of arcing. But no, it doesn't even have that level of spark going for it. No, not at all. It is an absolute waste. I was genuinely flabbergasted.
Well, the good news is, if you already subscribe to Amazon Prime, you can watch this for free and stop watching it if you think it's rubbish, because Deepwater is on Prime Video from now. So go and watch it. Right, we have got 2 movies left, Chickenhare and The Secret of the Groundhog in a moment. But next, the big film of the week that everyone wants to see. We're going to see what Van thinks of The Odyssey next. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. Let's just dive quickly into our next movie, which is called The Odyssey. Now, this was out last week, but we weren't here last week, so we're talking about it this week. So, Van, I mean, over to you. I just know that a lot of people want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever see Troy? You ever see the Brad Pitt one, Troy?
Yes, I think I did, yeah.
So, because for most people in sort of this era, that's kind of the definitive version of, Helen of Troy, the battle, and the Trojan horse. Most people remember it that way. What Christopher Nolan gives you here with the Odyssey is obviously, first and foremost, it is adaptation of Homer's The Odyssey, brought to the screen after 3,000 years. It's been in development for 3,000 years. It's now reached the screen in full glorious IMAX, and effectively tells the story of what happened after Troy, specifically to Odysseus, who's played for the screen here by Matt Damon. He is the king of Ithaca, and he and his men set off after, the victory at Troy, after the Trojan horse turned out to be such a win. And they set off to get back to their home, to their families, etc. And this is the decades-long literal odyssey of that journey as he encounters creatures like the Cyclops along the way. So have a listen. This is from The Odyssey. You will hear in this clip the likes of Matt Damon. You'll hear Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, and of course Tom Holland. Have a listen.
This is a household waiting for a master. I want you to choose me.
Ithaca's king is coming back.
No, he's not.
What would he do if he came back here and find all these suitors in his house?
They're pining for a daddy. You didn't even know. Like some sniveling bastard.
Do you know, I mean, I do sometimes find these kind of fantasy action movies a bit hard to get into. Is there anything you could say to me that would make me go, yeah, I need to join the queue on this one as well?
I would say that it is to sword and sorcery, sword and sandals movies, what Dunkirk is to the World War II movie. That's
Okay.
what I would say. In that, you look at what Dunkirk was. Dunkirk, obviously, that being another Christopher Nolan film as well. Dunkirk was a film that was very experimental in its presentation. The way it played out three different sort of narrative plots in different times, like running at different speeds and frequencies, and it did all this to tell you what was otherwise quite a simplistic and straightforward story. Got kind of a similar thing being applied here to the bloody Odyssey, to Homer. You know what I mean? It's not exactly a subtle text. This thing's quite rich. When you've then got the Nolan effect sort of applied to the top of it, I mean, bear in mind the Iliad is already told in a non-linear way. When you've then got Nolan's kind of filmmaking style and vibe and tone and the way that he plays these things through applied to it on top, I mean, best case scenario, you think of it the way that you do Dunkirk and World War II movies. Other side is that you might just think, oh wow, this is the one that really insists upon itself. Like
also, oh, sorry. I thought you'd finished. I thought you'd finished what you were
go,
saying.
honestly.
Only because I'm interested to know what Anne Hathaway's like in this, because I find most movies I see Anne Hathaway in, she just plays Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, this is pretty much Anne Hathaway in states lady mode, as I call it. It's because she's the queen. She's meant to be quite reserved, etc. throughout, and it's all about poise. It's all about poise and the optics kind of a thing. And she's very good at it. I actually my favourite thing about it, weirdly, is Tom Holland and John Bernthal. I love those two. I think they're great in this movie. I also quite like Robert Pattinson as well, who gets to give some really good snarl, as you can hear in the clip. Photography, as always, wonderful. You've got Hoyt van Hoytema doing the visuals on this one again. I don't know if Nolan will ever work with Wally Pfister again, or if Hoyt van Hoytema is kind of just in it for the duration now. And then you've got a score, really impressive score as well by I think this one's by Ludwig Göransson. Now, I did feel like something quite different musically for a Chris Nolan movie, because he's someone that usually relies quite a lot on the Hans Zimmer of it all, and it felt like that was an integral part of the sort of the Nolan effect. Was you got your Hans Zimmer score, you had your Wally Pfister visuals, and as these things have started to change, it's interesting seeing the films themselves start to evolve as a product, kind of along the way. It's slightly too long, I will say that, but then again, as I say, it's an adaptation of the bloody Odyssey. Can't really help that. You know what I mean? The fact that it's under a day in length is probably actually an achievement, and I kind of know that's because the IMAX film reels won't go over 3 hours. But yeah, I think if you saw it, you would view it on a sort of self-importance level where you might feel like you're going into something like you're watching 2001 for the first time. I think if you were a bit more cynical about it, though, you might find it quite insistent upon itself and its own brilliance. And I found that a little bit off-putting. There's still stuff there that I artistically think is amazing, but this is not top half ever of Christopher Nolan movies for me. This is in the lower half.
Well, if you want to see it, you can check it out, because The Odyssey is in cinemas already, ready for you to go. Right, one final movie to look at this week, Chickenhare and the Secret of the Groundhog. We'll see what Van thought of that one in just a minute. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then for one last ride, and we're going to end with a movie that's got a really short title. Chickenhare and the Secret of the Groundhog is today's final movie. Now, this is an animated action-adventure movie, and that's about all I know.
Right, I watched the screener link for this with a friend, and neither he nor I had any idea what this was, okay? We just put it on and let it play. And I think we were about halfway through the movie before he told me, oh, it turns out this is based on a series. I think they were Vertigo comics or something. Maybe they were DC comics. But they were a series of actual serious straight-faced comic books that have now been adapted for the screen. So this is an established IP. And when you see the quality of the movie and the sort of the expense of the obvious visual expense of the animation, you think, okay, this must be based on something, because someone spared no expense on this. And even regardless of what you would say of the script, it's still been done to a certain professional standard. You know what I mean? Okay. So it transpires that this is film number 2 in a series. This is a sequel. This is based on a successful follow-up, adapting the character of Chickenhare to the screen. Now, Chickenhare is one of a race known as hare chickens. In no way is this confusing. That would be like you coming from a race of people called Ball Adams. You know, it would make absolutely no sense. But yeah, and he Chickenhare loves to go off on archaeological expeditions and things. This time finds himself setting out to find the backwards faced groundhog, which will allow them to change the flow of time and save the hare chicken people. I think that's the plot. It goes on for 88 minutes, and that's about all I managed to ascertain from it. Mostly I was numb to it. Have a listen.
How much do you know about the groundhog with the backward-facing face?
There are 3 holes in this parchment. Just put the spork in. Look, the Isle of Idle Hands. Let's go. Kralik is back.
Hello there.
Kralik.
I heard you were looking for the groundhog. Therefore, so am I.
It sounds like one of those movies where the kids might be chuckling away a little bit and it's the adults that might be sitting there rolling their eyes, no?
No, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I thought it was too dull for most kids. Would have been my takeaway on this. My watching of I just thought... And I'm trying to find a way into this movie. I'm trying to find something to get a hold of them. To get the action sequences, will those be able to, like, thrill me in some way? And there's a couple of moments, there's a couple of gags that, made me minorly chuckle here and there. But it is, for the most part, what feels like a sort of barely passable attempt to make a cash-in animated movie on something that obviously has quite a niche following somewhere, presumably referring to the comics that these come from. And that's a shame because it's a big vibrant adventure. You kind of want it to go a lot better than it does, and the concept, in so much as I can work it out, which seems to literally be let's do National Treasure but in the world of Zootopia, is not an inherently bad idea. Like, in theory, that's quite a good idea. Zootopia National Treasure. Why not? If you actually get Nicolas Cage for it, you've got double the money, son. But yes, the sad fact is it simply doesn't have the depth or the character to pull it off.
I've watched a bit of the trailer, and something in the trailer just made me think, Roblox game.
It really has that about it, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. It really, I can see them making games off the back of this because of some of the action sequences that are in it.
Do you see what I mean, though, about the expense level, the visible expense of the animation? Like, that's not cheap animation. It's not Pixar level animation, but that's not cheap animation. That is pushing towards a DreamWorks level.
It's not far off Pixar. Like, it's close. I mean, it is really good. I mean, it's not rushed. It's not a cheap thing, is it? And it's a shame that
this has not been done on the cheap. No.
No, and it's just a bit of a shame. If you're going to spend all that money out on the animation, you want to get the story of right.
I still can't get over the fact that, his name is Chickenhare and his people are called Hare Chickens. I mean, it's just, come on, guys. Silly. It's like we're not even trying anymore. No, this is the problem. I really thought this was naff. And I thought that in the context of, if my nephew was sat here right now, how would he respond to this? He'd probably be bored, and I'd be bored, and he'd be annoying me, and yeah. And so I just didn't find it a win at all. It was kind of a 2.5 star experience to me, like at best, and that extra half a star there is purely because of at least you're making an effort.
Might be best waiting till this comes out on streaming then, if you've got little
entirely
ones that,
possible, yeah.
want to check it out, but it's in cinemas from today. All right then, Van, shall we have a quick look ahead to what we've got coming up next week?
Well, I was going to say it's not next week, it's in a fortnight's time, because obviously there's nothing out next week except for one film, so we may as well just do a bumper when we get back. But on the 7th of August, when we should come back with from the 493, we have The Summer Book, which is a new movie with Glenn Close to look forward to. We've got, and you spotted this right off the bat, you said, is this a horror movie? Ice Cream Man. Yes, not only is it a horror movie, Mr. Ball, not just a horror movie, it's an Eli Roth horror movie, so this gets nasty. We've also got the US law enforcement comedy sequel Super Troopers 3 showing up, ready to party, meow. And, long-awaited one for me. This is the movie I've been looking forward to more than any other this year, and it's Spider-Man Brand New Day, which finally gives me the Punisher and the Hulk and Spidey on screen at the same time. I'm so excited. Forgive me, I'm going to go and nerd out.
Well, we'll see what you think to all of those when we return in a couple of weeks. But that is, of course, all we have time for this week on Off Screen. We will be back in 2. Until then, I've been Adam Ball.
I've been Van Connor. Keep it cinematic, and we shall return.